your former teammate, we don't talk about this enough, you won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. Clearly, we know Eagles all-time rushing leader, salute, salute, salute. But you went on the run with the Chiefs to get rings and things. Do the Chiefs need MVP Mahomes in order to win the Super Bowl?
I think so. I think when I look at these teams together, I've done a lot of tape over the last, 2 weeks? Well, maybe, I guess, 1 week. Now I know Super Bowl who's in Super Bowl. But just watch them over this year, man. Like, the Eagles really they outmatched the Chiefs. If you look at every position, they kind of have better players in those positions. But the quarterback, and I think that Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts has been balling this year, but they are different. I think for them to really go out there and win this game, it's on Andy Reid, right? Put them in great situations to win. And it's Patrick Mahomes. We got to see the MVP Patrick Mahomes. Like guys coming in with the sacks. He make one guy miss, other guy miss. Throw a laser down the field, get a touchdown, because he hasn't seen, I think, a defense like this. Now, people will say, well, Shady, you're tripping. He did this against the Niners, and he did ball. But I'm talking about the rotation and pressure up front. Our guys up front, it's the reason why we're ranked third of all time in sacks, right? They get after that quarterback. And then even on the back end, you look at the Niners, they're a good defense, hell of a defense, coached very well. But they don't have that secondary like the Eagles. Yeah. You got all pros and Pro Bowlers on both sides at cornerback. And then you look at the back end and safety. Gardner's been balling. So I just think that for the Chiefs to win this game, and they can win, you know, Patrick Mahomes has to be Patrick Mahomes that we know, the MVP.
He got to go crazy. I would say it like this, Shady. The Chiefs need Patrick Mahomes and the other All-Pros to play like Hall of Famers. Okay. And the Chiefs need to hope that the Eagles All-Pros play like Pro Bowlers.
Well, which one? So Travis Kelce, there's only one.
Kelsey, Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Those All-Pros have to play like Hall of Famers, and the Chiefs need to hope that the Eagles All-Pros play like Pro Bowlers. The Eagles All-Pros ain't going to play bad. But you got to hope that they just play like mediocre. And then you need Patrick Mahomes and, more importantly, Travis Kelce to get busy.
Right.
If the Eagles and Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator, somehow make the mistake of being so arrogant into thinking they can cover Travis Kelce one-on-one, that is the best chance for Patrick Mahomes to succeed, and that is the best chance for the Chiefs to succeed. The times that Travis Kelce gets busy aren't just because Travis Kelce is as good. It's because defensive arrogance. I remember watching the Chargers play the Chiefs. Derwin James, we talked to him before the season.
I love a player.
Derwin James is an amazing player, and he has respect for all players. Thus, we have respect for Derwin James. But I remember watching the Chargers single Derwin James on Travis Kelce. But Travis Kelce, a different type of animal. Single coverage, no help. It's an offensive league. Offensive player is going to win. So even Travis Kelce beat, in my mind, what is one of the best safeties in all of football. So if you can beat Derwin James, okay, cut two. Remember when the Chiefs played the Raiders? Okay. Travis Kelce got busy. I believe it was 3, if not 4 touchdowns against the Raiders because of arrogance. So Patrick Mahomes has to be not just all-pro Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has to be Hall of Fame Patrick Mahomes if the Chiefs are going to win. Where do you stand, Joy?
You know, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have an MVP-level performance in this game. But I got to do it. I have to do it. I have to challenge y'all.
Let's do it.
I got to put some respect on this Kansas City roster because we're really doing a lot.
This started on Friday.
I know. I have been waiting. I've been cooking on this for a while.
Let's do it.
Kansas City has 7 Pro Bowlers and 6 All-Pros this year. How many do the Eagles have? 7 Pro Bowlers and 6 All-Pros this year.
Yep.
One of those All-Pros will also be winning the MVP in Patrick Mahomes. They're also coached by Andy Reid. They have, 2, 4, 6, 15 players from the Super Bowl, from the last Super Bowl run still on the roster. This is not some slack roster. They're the #1 seed in the AFC. True. Patrick Mahomes had an unbelievable year this year. He will be the MVP, deserves the MVP. He's first team All-Pro. Shady, that's hard to do.
It's hard, very hard to do.
Okay, but they're not some bums. This is a real Kansas City team. Like, they have the same amount of All-Pros as the Eagles do.
Who's their All-Pros, though?
Their All-Pros are Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, Tommy Townsend, Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey. All-Pro. Are they All-Pro or they're not, Shady?
Humphrey's an underrated player.
His levels, though.
No. Come on, we're not doing that because we're not going to discredit Jalen Hurts.
So if you say Humphreys, right, and I say Jason Kelce, you're going to tell me his levels, right?
Okay, but there's only so many All-Pros. I'm saying if we're going to account for the amount of talent what the Eagles have, and I would agree, top to bottom, they have a better roster.
Yeah.
But we cannot just disregard what Kansas City did this year. It's not like they're walking in here these scrappy underdogs. I'm not subscribing to this narrative. I know we're selling it as such. Watch the game on Fox. Scrappy underdog Kansas City against the dominant Philadelphia Eagles. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles are dominant, but I do not think that this is a scrappy underdog Kansas City team.
I hear what you're saying, but
I chose cooking over here, by the way.
The Chiefs have the NFL MVP. They have Patrick Mahomes, and they're still Vegas sees them as underdogs in this game.
Yeah.
So I mean,
They're
that says a
1.5
lot.
point underdogs.
They are still not favored, which you.
Okay,
If
but
I told you Patrick Mahomes is playing in the Super Bowl, you probably
But
wouldn't
they
think he's the
shouldn't.
underdog.
They shouldn't be. The Eagles roster is better.
It is.
But I'm not. This is a good Kansas City roster. They were good enough to be the #1 seed
So
in the
that-
AFC.
It is a good Kansas City roster.
Yes, it's
I would
just not-
argue
it's
the
not a
Eagles
great
roster
one.
is great.
So
Yeah.
this was a dilemma we
he's
had on
happy to
Friday.
We did this for an hour after the show on Friday.
Dave and I literally sat in the dressing room here. We're going to bring you all into the conversation. After the show, Dave and I sat in the dressing room, and we went through the entire NFL. We were like, okay, where does the Chiefs roster stack up? I put them at 13th. If you're excluding Patrick Mahomes, the conversation was
quarterbacks don't
without
count.
the quarterback, where does the roster stack up? I put them at 13th, which is what led us to this conversation of how good Patrick Mahomes is going to have to be. I don't think the roster is bad, to Joy's point, but I do think the Eagles roster is so incredibly talented that Patrick Mahomes is going to have to be uniquely special. Like, not just great, like uniquely special, because people talk about this all the time, and let's just talk ball for a second. Football is all about matchups, period.
Right.
So when Mahomes looks outside at wide receiver, and Mecole Hardman got officially put down today, so when he looks outside at wide receiver and say he sees Marquez Valdez-Scantling, is he going to beat Slay? And then he looks at the other wide receiver and he sees Kadarius Toney. Is he going to beat Bradbury? Then he looks in the slot, if you will, and he sees our guy out of Penn, Watson. Is he going to beat Maddox? And then he looks at tight end and he sees Kelsey. Kelsey, you better beat Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You better beat him, because that's the only matchup they have that's favorable.
That he wins,
You can look behind him. You might see Pacheco. They just elevated Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Is he going to beat T.J. Edwards? Pacheco, a 7th-round pick out of Rutgers, y'all. T.J. Edwards been balling since he was at Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken. Then you look on the flip side. Chris Jones is one of the best players in football. Finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Yes, he is.
Yes.
But Jason Kelsey's not one of the best players in football. Jason Kelsey's one of the best centers the history of the game has ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever.
They got a Pro Bowl guard.
And they got a Pro Bowl guard. Yeah. And they got a future Hall of Fame right tackle.
So they got 4 Pro Bowlers on offensive line, right? Am I tripping?
Off of 3 of them.
I think it's just 3.
Left guard, center, right tackle. Yeah. So, and you got all that. So it's like, you're going to have to come with something now. You're going to have to come with something, Dave.
I can put this really simply, because I agree with you. It's funny, we forget this, because I always say the winner writes the history. Patrick Mahomes won Super Bowl MVP against the 49ers. His numbers weren't really that great. He threw for 286, he threw 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and ran for another one.
Yep.
It's a nice day. It's good enough to win Super Bowl MVP because he led the comeback. That's not going to beat Philly.
No.
That's not a good enough game to beat Philly. We're talking last year in the divisional round against Buffalo, 75% completion, 378, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Like, you need that.
But I guess what's
You need that to win this
fascinating.
game.
And real quick, touch on that. So I was at that game, and like the preparation
You
that week.
played in that game. What do you mean you were at it?
I mean, I was trying to be, But look, at that game, right? Seriously, that week we were saying with Bosa and that defense, the difference is the Eagles have like 2 Bosas, 3 Bosas. Now, I would say Bosa is Bosa.
But they got
I mean,
Reddick.
But I mean the backup.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So all these players with Sweat, Reddick, and then you have BG. So it's like they have so many different layers. We always talk about like Bosa gets tired. We're going to chip him, wear him down a little bit. So now 3rd, 4th quarter, he may be tired. That's cool for the Niners. Eagles, they got the backer coming in there. He'll get you 11 sacks.
But here's the thing. Jordan brought
sacks.
this up last week. The Eagles' backup to Hassan Reddick, who was 2nd in the league in sacks, is Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham made the biggest play in Super Bowl 52, strip sacking Tom Brady to win the game.
Yeah.
Brandon Graham has been in the league for 13 years and had 11 sacks this year, a record high for himself. Like, that's the Eagles' backup.
I love all of this love for the Eagles defense because I know it's coming up later in the show, so I hope the energy remains the same.
Keep that energy.
I love this Eagles defense. I think
what's coming up.
okay, we'll talk about it a little bit. This was live. This already went out. You already said it. I agree with you. on all that. I'm just saying I got to put a little bit of respect on this Chiefs roster. Like, this is not a bad roster.
Not bad.
No, they're not bad.
It's not bad. They got the same amount of All-Pros as the Eagles do. Now, the depth for the Eagles is different. That is what I'm talking about. When we start talking about the depth, the backups, all of that, but we're also disregarding that Patrick Mahomes will be out there.
Correct.
And to
That's
my
the
point,
crux
like,
of it.
I don't know that Patrick Mahomes needs to be otherworldly. I think he needs to be great.
Yeah.
And I think he will be great because that's what he does in big moments.
I do too. Yep.
But he has a nice roster that is coached by Andy Reid. They got
and
6
that
Pro
secondary had
Bowlers.
them rookies,
They're
too.
like-
Secondary's all rookies.
They're all right.
After
Like,
Snead went down,
That's the thing, though. The
say, like,
secondary is so young.
7 Pro Bowlers, sorry.
A lot of
It's
youth
all
in the
pros,
secondary.
You know,
I mean, they can play. I'm just saying,
they just,
if
you
Pat
know,
got to be great.
They just barely
Look at
got to the number 1 seed in the AFC with all them quarterbacks and that whole
I love
conference.
the Chiefs. I just, I mean,
All
look,
that,
be a good game.
like,
Jalen Hurts
crappy
doesn't.
defenses and all
Jalen Hurts doesn't need to play the game of his life for Philly to win this game. I think
That's the
Patrick.
difference.
I think Patrick Mahomes does, or
that.
one
Game
of
of his
the.
life.
What a great.
I think he does. I think he does.
One of the
can't-
games of his life.
He can have a bad performance. Where Jalen can have a bad performance, I think the Eagles can still win because the team is so good.
Because, truth be, when we say the game of his life, I truly believe Mahomes is going to have no turnovers, maybe 1, and he's going to have about 4 touchdowns. Yardage is irrelevant,
So
right?
you think that the margin for error is bigger for Jalen Hurts than you do for Patrick Mahomes?
And that's
Yeah,
all
probably
year.
3X.
That's been all year for the
I would
Eagles.
probably say, I'd probably say like 3X. If Mahomes goes out there and is average to below average,
I think, and then more, I think that the Chiefs structure their offense and team based on Patrick Mahomes. Or the Eagles, they don't base everything on Jalen Hurts' back, right? Now, they need Jalen to be there to win, but it's not, if you don't play well, Jalen, we can't win. Where I think the Chiefs, it's kind of that. That's the way they're set up.
what else is fascinating is this, is like when Mahomes went to figurative battle in the first Super Bowl with 225,
Okay.
there was Ty Matthew on the defensive end, along with Chris Jones still. Chris Jones was still there. Plus, you had Ty Matthew. He's not going to make the Hall of Fame just by nature of Pro Bowls and all pros, but Ty Matthew's a great football
And he was our
player.
leader, our defensive leader.
Defensive leader. On offense, you still had Kelsey, but then you also had Tyreek Hill. And then you also had like other extensive playmakers on that offense.
them two you need.
I'm fascinated by Pat going into this game because usually, Shady, you know this because you were that star. You go out to the game and you look to your left, look to your right. You're like, okay, I got Jeremy Maclin with me. I got Deshaun Jackson with me. I got Vic with me.
Pressure's way down.
Mahomes is going out there like, okay, I got Kelsey with me. I got Jones with me. I got Creed with me. But you better have Creed with you. And I got Tooney with me. You better have Tooney with you. Like, it's just fascinating.
You do got Andy, though. Andy's like the big OG. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's the scrappy.
if it's beef.
Happy to be there, Chiefs.
Wow.
Just lucky-
Joey's got a point.
Lucky to be in the building.
I mean,
We're not
they've been
saying
to 3
that.
of the last 4 Super Bowls.
We're not
Been to 3 of the
saying
last
Correct.
4
But to
Super Bowls.
me, that's the credit to this conversation of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's the credit to, like.
I'm with you. I just know Joey's going to have something to say.
Okay, but
if the
even the
Chiefs
Super
win
Bowl
this game.
against Tampa Bay. So, like, the defense for Tampa Bay really won that game.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And Pat didn't play well. They
didn't have time to play well.
They didn't really block at all.
Yeah.
But on their side of the ball, they played okay. Now, we once you, after a while, if offense can't do nothing,
It took the Bucks 3 quarters to kind of grab.
do you see what I'm
control
saying?
of that
So
game, yeah.
it's the same thing where if Pat don't play well with that team, how they're structured, they don't really do well altogether. Where Jalen Hurts, if he doesn't play well, it's so much supporting cast around him where he can still win the game. That's all I'm saying. It's the Chiefs. I ain't saying they're not a good team. I'm just saying if you have to weigh what team is
Well, I would
better.
definitely say the Eagles have more depth.
Yeah.
We can agree on that.
It all kicks off Super Bowl Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.